Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Thrust into the national spotlight, Governor Mike Pence delivers the most important speech of his political career.
In my home state of Indiana, we prove every day that you can build a growing economy on balanced budgets, low taxes, even while making record investments in education and roads and health care.
The latest on the Trump-Pence ticket and how the GOP ballot in Indiana is shaping up. Plus, new GMO regulations have proponents and opponents switching sides. What the rules say about what producers are required to list on your food labels. And the Rose Island Amusement Park has been abandoned since the mid-1930s.
Certainly the most devastating flood that we've seen in our history here.
In our Hidden Places segment, we go on a hike to explore the ruins. These stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. According to a lot of folks, Mike Pence nailed it this week when he delivered his speech at the Republican National Convention. The Indiana governor officially accepted the vice presidential nomination. And during his speech, he joked about the differences between himself and running mate Donald Trump.
You know, he's a man known for a large personality, a colorful style, and lots of charisma, and so I guess he was just looking for some balance on the ticket.
Pence touted the tax cuts he made as governor as he made his case for Republican leadership.
While the nation suffers under the weight of $19 trillion in a national debt, we in Indiana have a $2 billion surplus, the highest credit rating in the nation, even though we've cut taxes every year since I became governor 4 years ago.
When Pence removed his name from the Indiana ballot last week, it set into motion a series of events. Now, J.D. Gray looks at how and when the ballots will be finalized for the Indiana GOP.
By this time next month, we're going to know what the ballot looks like in Indiana. But as of right now, things aren't so clear. An open spot for governor caught the attention of many Republicans, even those on other ballots. Last Friday, we saw a wave of ballot hoppers as Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb and U.S. Representatives Todd Rokita and Susan Brooks all threw their name in the hat for a run at governor. This, of course, creates a series of new openings, one for Lieutenant Governor and the two for the congressional seats. So how are Republicans going to fill these ballots? They'll have a series of caucuses. For the state positions, it will be up to the 22-person Indiana Republican Party State Committee. They will be voting on the replacements for governor on July 26th and lieutenant governor on August 1st. The two congressional districts, District 4 and District 5, now they also will need to hold caucuses within 30 days of the day that the names were removed from the ballot, July 15th.
And Republican Senator Jim Toms is also in the running to replace Pence on the ballot. Toms sent an email to members of the Indiana GOP's state committee announcing his intention to seek the Republican nomination for governor. Toms says his 6 years as a state senator gives him legislative experience while he's learned the relationship between other government branches and agencies. Meanwhile, Democrats are scrambling to capitalize on the Republican upheaval stemming from Pence's decision to abruptly drop his re-election bid. The Democratic Governors Association donated $500,000 this week to John Gregg's campaign for governor, boosting his already sizable fundraising advantage over several of the Republicans jockeying to join the race. Now, the money Pence raised for his re-election campaign could go to whomever the GOP selects to replace Pence on the ballot. It's up to Pence to decide what to do with the $7 million in his gubernatorial campaign account. He can't directly transfer it to the presidential campaign, but he could transfer it to a super PAC, which could then give it to the presidential campaign. He could also simply keep the money in his state account, much like Evan Bayh did when he abandoned his Senate re-election bid in 2010. Indiana Republicans say they'd like to see most of the money stay in the governor's race. Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brosier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. The state Supreme Court vacated the feticide conviction of an Indiana woman who took abortion drugs after an unintended pregnancy. In 2013, Purvi Patel delivered an extremely preterm fetus and disposed of it. Police arrested her and prosecutors charged her with feticide and neglect, resulting in the death of a dependent. Patel was sentenced to 20 years in prison. In the decision, the judges instructed the trial court to resentence Patel for a lesser charge of Class D felony neglect of a dependent. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Todd Young is adjusting to a new opponent after former Senator Evan Bayh replaced Democratic Senate candidate Baron Hill. Young is emphasizing his ties to Indiana. That's a not-so-subtle nod to the fact that Evan Bayh has lived, at least in part, in Washington, D.C. for several years, a common criticism from the Young campaign. It's the same sort of attack that was levied at Republican Dan Coats in his 2010 Senate campaign, an unsuccessful attack since Coats won. Bayh calls it unfortunate that Young has chosen to attack him. Bayh says he doesn't want to run a negative campaign and instead hopes to focus on the economy and making college affordable, issues that Young says are a priority in his campaign as well. The panel creating the framework for a new state assessment may get to push back its deadline. The law gives the panel until December to issue its recommendations for how to overhaul the I-step. A testing expert spoke at the panel's meeting this week and encouraged members to take at least 2 years to properly revise and field test the new assessment. Representative Bob Baining, who wrote the legislation creating the panel, said he is open to asking the General Assembly to push back the timeline. Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton is frustrated about his lack of authority to enforce what he calls reasonable gun restrictions. The mayor penned an op-ed this week in the New York Times. In it, he describes the scene at the city's public pool, where a man was openly carrying a gun on his hip, and another instance at the recent July 4th parade, where men holding machine guns stood on a float. During an Ask the Mayor interview, Hamilton said the state's laws are too lax and make it difficult for him to fulfill his promise to keep the citizens of Bloomington safe.
The American people in large majorities do not want the kind of gun society that we have. We can protect the rights and privileges of individuals to have firearms for protection or for sport. But we can do a lot more to pass laws and enforce laws and have support mechanisms that can help deter this kind of horrific outrage.
Hamilton says he will lobby at the legislature this year for more local control. Indiana could raise the gas tax or put up new toll roads to pay for road repairs. But a new task force that met for the first time this week is charged with coming up with other solutions as well. The committee is called Funding Indiana's Roads for a Stronger, Safer Tomorrow. The group is working to put together a plan for state lawmakers on how to pay for road and bridge improvements over the next 10 to 15 years. The U.S. Justice Department is putting on hold 2 giant mergers among the nation's 5 largest health insurers, including Indianapolis-based Anthem. The government is concerned about the so-called Big Five becoming the Big Three and possibly violating antitrust laws. The DOJ announced yesterday it's suing to block Anthem's acquisition of Cigna. The Justice Department is also blocking a similar merger between Aetna and Humana. Anthem says the DOJ doesn't understand how the industry works. Crane is reaching out to local businesses with an invitation to form stronger partnerships. It's hosting a series of workshops aimed at teaching small businesses about the base and what they can do to sell products or services to the base. The first one in Bedford Thursday attracted about 100 people.
So we buy between $1 billion and $750 million worth of equipment and services every year. And so Indiana can play more in that once small businesses understand our requirements.
Blackwell says it's important that Crane communicate with small businesses to create a mutually beneficial relationship. Seven Oaks Charter School is pushing back its opening date until September 6th. Seven Oaks purchased an old school building in Ellettsville and paid contractors $2 million to renovate it.
And the fact is that we got our approval for our funding for this particular phase of reconstruction back on July the 6th. And here we are 2 weeks later and not a single part of the renovations underway.
The school originally planned to open in mid-August. The board has organized a summer camp to make the transition into the school year more seamless. Efforts to rebrand the airport in Terre Haute are starting with a new name. It's being changed from the Holman Regional Airport to the Terre Haute Regional Airport. The new name and a new logo will be used to target new business. The airport is also renovating its runways and installing a new facade on the terminal. Law enforcement and conservation officials are tracking the second black bear confirmed to have visited the state in the past year. It's happening near Cordon, about 20 miles west of Louisville. The officers are hoping to capture the bear without harming it, but they're not sure what they will do with it. A bear that wandered into northern Indiana last year was euthanized in southwestern Michigan by conservation officers in that state. And Joe, those bears may be cute, but the one in northern Indiana walked up to people's back doors, so they could be dangerous.
Sure. Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. This plant in the greenhouses at Indiana University is attracting quite the crowd. It's extremely rare to see one bloom, so much so that a webcam is pointed at it so people around the world can catch a glimpse. Coming up, we'll explain what makes this plant so bizarre. And a hint, a clue can be found in its name. And Rose Island was a huge attraction in the early 20th century. It closed in 1937. In our Hidden Places segment, we take you on a hike through the woods to see what remains of the amusement park. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Nature takes you places where you've never gone before.
It's watching something that's actually happened.
Nature sure drew me in the story.
Just their power and their grace.
You know, it was just so beautiful to watch them.
The movement and just watching the body and watching the chase.
Like this huge, lush, vibrant watercolor.
Tim's.
There was such a shot of underneath watching these elephants swim in this deep water.
I had no idea even they could swim like that.
I saw that one monkey pulling on this one monkey's tail, and the monkey like, man, what you doing? What you doing?
It's like the theater of the wild or something.
7 billion trillion animals living on one planet.
It's like more colorful than than you think life can possibly be.
Somewhere between the mystique and the beauty of it is reason enough to sit down and watch.
That's life. And that's nature.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Well, it seems straightforward. Tell people what they're eating. But critics say a new bill designed to tell people whether their food is genetically modified may actually mask the contents. Lindsay Wright has the story.
I was actually going to get some cheese here, but I've never actually tried this.
Fabi Calvo pays pretty close attention to what's in her food. She's careful when she's at the grocery store, not just because she's allergic to milk, but because she cares about what she's eating in general, something many of us can relate to.
It doesn't say, oh, non-GMO, okay. So they do label it here, non-GMO expeller pressed.
Congress recently approved legislation that requires food labels to list genetically modified ingredients, or GMOs. And you'd think it'd be as easy as looking on the package to see what's in the food you're eating. For example, I can clearly see the number of calories in this box of pasta, but the GMO labeling bill could make it trickier than that, and it's leading to some mistrust in consumers. Unlike nutrition labels that clearly list what's in the product, the bill requires packages to either have a text label, a symbol, or an electronic code readable by smartphone, which indicates whether the food contains GMOs. Agriculture groups which once fought against mandatory labeling support the bill, and many pro-labeling advocates are unhappy with the new bill. They call the regulations cheating because they're not required to list straightforward information. Purdue agricultural economics spokesperson Jessica Ice says the bill is problematic because it's a very clear compromise.
You get a little bit of what some people want and you get a little bit of what the other people want, and you get this kind of in-the-middle solution, which no one is totally happy with.
Consumers want transparent information about what's in their food, and they worry they won't get it, especially with electronic labeling. But the controversy over GMOs in general, not just with labeling, is a complicated one. And Ice says it's been an issue since the beginning.
It's a terrifying name. Most people don't know what it is. It sounds like you don't want your food that way. And so from the get-go, it kind of had an awkward start in terms of public perception of GMOs.
A 2012 Pew study that looked at a wide range of topics even found the highest disparity between scientific and public perception to be the topic of GMOs. 88% of scientists say GMOs are safe, with only around 37% of U.S. adults agreeing. And part of that, Ice says, is because the agricultural industry didn't respond well to the shift in consumers' interest to food.
It put forward this kind of crisis to the agricultural sector, like how are we going to deal with the logistics of like a patchwork of laws across the states. It's going to be very costly, it's going to be very confusing.
Even the Bloomington Farmers Market felt the need to respond to consumer concern over GMOs. Officials held a GMO panel to gauge public opinion on the topic. Many voiced their desire for clear labeling. Others argued against misconceptions. Columbus farmer David Simmons says it's unfortunate there's so much misinformation. He thinks GMOs are safe and uses it for sweet corn.
I'm really looking more at educating people rather than having people label something. Because labeling insinuates risk. Whereas education, just like this meeting right here, we educate the people on what a GMO product is.
That panel was hosted nearly a year ago, and market manager Marcia Veldman says the farmers market created its own regulations to ease concern.
We wanted to respond to customer interest. I think a lot of the reason people shop at the farmers market is there's a level of transparency.
Veldman says with a signed bill, the farmers market will review its own regulations to make sure they are in compliance, and that's important to consumers like Calvo.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to a place that wouldn't have a clear label because I need to know what's in it.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has 2 years to write the rules as outlined in the bill. That means a lot of details still have to be worked out. President Obama is expected to sign the bill. Today in our Hidden Places series, we go to an abandoned amusement park in southern Indiana. It drew crowds from several nearby states in its peak, but in 1937, flooding caused extensive damage and the owners decided their only option was to shut down Rose Island. Today, Becca Costello takes us on a tour to discover what the site is like nearly 80 years later.
Imagine the year is 1925. It's a hot summer day, and one of the most popular places to go for entertainment in southern Indiana is Rose Island. You can go to Rose Island today, but you'll have to hike a bit through Charlestown State Park first. It isn't actually an island at all. It's a small peninsula on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, just across from Kentucky. It gets its name from David Rose, who bought the property in 1923 and turned the existing small park into an amusement park with a wooden roller coaster and a merry-go-round. Visitors to Rose Island back in the 20s and 30s would have come in on foot on a bridge over a creek or by steamboat on the Ohio River, passing through the main gates to the park.
So this was the original entrance. People would unload, they would walk up, walk between either of these columns.
Visitors sometimes came for a day, but you could also rent cabins for a night, a week, or even the whole summer.
And that was really kind of what initially started this park, was that, get out of the city, away from all that coal and soot, out into nature, breathe the fresh air, and cleanse yourself.
The park had a lot of attractions, but no matter what, you'd have to walk down the main pathway connecting both ends. The path used to have archways with light bulbs strung up between them and roses growing up the columns. The state park has recreated a few of the columns, now standing where the originals stood.
But all those stone, the big limestone that you see along the edges, that is the original stones that line this walkway. So we are walking in the same footsteps of everyone who visited this park during its heyday.
Just off the main path, you might make your way to what's left of the dance hall.
Flappers, with their knock knees, crossing hands, and flying beads, danced the Charleston.
Some of the ruins are even older than the amusement park, dating back to the Fern Grove picnic area opened during the 1880s. This is what's left of a fountain, and it's probably the oldest feature that's still standing.
Now, this is also tied into one of the great urban legends with this park, which there are a few. And people always talked about alligators in the fountain.
Park rangers always thought the alligators were just a myth until they met a nephew of the amusement park's founder.
And he remembered coming here as a child, and they would actually have a couple small alligators that would swim around in this, almost like a moat around it.
The park was hit hard by the Great Depression of the 1930s, but one particular attraction kept the park running: a pool with cutting-edge cleaning technology.
So this was a surface skimmer that would actually pull the oils and everything off the surface of the water into pipes that would take it to the filtration system. So in a time when swimming pools were not common, this was a large, clean swimming pool. So it certainly was quite an attraction.
Visitors could rent a bathing suit from the park and play on a large metal toy in the middle of the pool. The park moved it to storage when they drained the pool and filled it with gravel last year, but they hope it will be restored eventually. The pool was the first Olympic-sized pool in Indiana, which goes to show just how innovative David Rose was. The park itself was basically self-sufficient. Staff lived on-site throughout the year, and Rose even had a farm across the river in Kentucky with chickens, cows, and a garden.
Yeah, they had their own power plant, their own water source, their own farm, food source, so it really was a self-sustaining, self-sufficient operation.
That all came to an end in 1937.
Certainly the most devastating flood that we've seen in our history here. Really wiped out this site as well as many places throughout the river. Much of Louisville was underwater at the time even.
Although many records were lost in the flood, historians think that Rose kept the park open during the Great Depression using a lot of his own money. When the flood hit, he couldn't afford to rebuild.
Mr. Rose essentially just walked away from the site, kind of abandoned it.
The Army bought the property in 1940 and built an ammunition plant to support the World War II effort. They sealed off the area but left the park as is.
So yeah, the site was really sealed off to the outside world from 1940 really up until 2011 when we started with the bridge construction here.
Some people did sneak in over the years. Park officials think someone stole the Rose Island sign and other materials left behind. But for the most part, the surrounding forest was left to retake the land, growing around the ruins left behind.
You're walking through lots of tall tulips and sycamores and other trees, and then around the corner you stumble upon a swimming pool. So it is that very unique combination of historic man-made features surrounded and really being really reclaimed by the natural world.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Becca Costello.
Rose Island is just one of the hidden places in Indiana's state parks. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Indiana State Parks. Find more of their secrets and surprises on our website. File this one in rare and unusual. This plant is known as the corpse flower. It's native to Sumatra and takes between 7 and 10 years to blossom. This week it's been growing rapidly, and when it opens, it reveals a terrible smell.
It's a pungent smell. It's not like what really pollinates it would be like flies and stuff, because they go for that type of a smell, rotten meat or whatever smell. So that's what it attracts to pollinate. Not honeybees won't be coming in here to pollinate it. They won't want nothing to do with it.
It takes 8 to 20 years on average for a corpse flower to bloom for the first time, and each bloom only lasts between 24 and 36 hours. A stream of people have been visiting the greenhouse to check out the rare plant.
Something that's totally different. A lot of people, like the young lady was here a few minutes ago, that she said she'd love to go see one, but she knows she can never get to see one. But we have one right here under her feet, and so she's excited. So it's going to be kind of cool.
You can see the plant on a live webcam even if you can't make it to the greenhouse. And as you make your plans for the weekend, you might want to ensure you're either in the air conditioning or poolside. You can expect high 90s or triple-digit temperatures. That's the result of a weather system called a heat dome. A heat dome is a complicated combination of pressure, temperature, and air density. Essentially, all the hot air in the atmosphere gets pushed down to the ground. Cities across the state are opening cooling centers to help folks deal with the oppressive heat. The National Weather Service has issued heat advisories for much of the state. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.